Hello and welcome to Gair and Karunatillake Lesson 3, Reading 4 on page 42. As before, I will read the passage to you slowly and then we'll go through analyzing it. And you should all have the typescript with my analysis of the text, which is on this shared screen now. Bhante Nagasena King Lakhanam Vinyananti Vijanana Lakhanam Maharaja Vinyananti Upamam Karohi Ti Yatha Maharaja Nagaraguttiko Majhe Nagare Singhatake Nisinno Pasaya Purathimadisatu Purisam Agachantam Pasaya Dakhinadisato Purisam Agachantam Pasaya Pachimadisato Purisam Agachantam Pasaya Uttaradisato Purisam Agachantam Evameva Ko Maharaja Yancha Puriso Chakhuna Rupam Passati Tam Vinyanena Vijanati Yancha Sotena Saddam Sunati Tam Vinyanena Vijanati Yancha Ghanena Gandham Ghayati Tam Vinyanena Vijanati Yancha Jibhaya Rasansayati Tam Vinyanena Vijanati Yancha Kayena Puttabam Pusati Tam Vinyanena Vijanati Yancha Manasa Dhammam Vijanati Tam Vinyanena Vijanati Evam Ko Maharaja Vijanana Lakhanam Vinyananti Kalose Bhante Nagasenati. So this is the conversation with King Milinda and Nagasena. Bhante Nagasena asks the king, King Lakhanam Vinyananti. So Vinyana that we have to translate it here. So one just normally translate as consciousness. So King Lakhanam is a possessive compound. So King Lakhanam means of what nature, having what nature. So Kim means what. Lakhana, not nature, it means more of a sign or a mark. Lakhana. In Sanskrit, it's lakshana. So the compound Kim Lakhana it doesn't mean what sign or what mark. It's a possessive compound. It means having what as a mark. What marked? What is its mark? It's the same as the English phrase white-haired means having white hair. Possessive compound. This is the same. Kim Lakhana, what mark, meaning having what as a mark. And at the very end, we say that Vijnanam, consciousness, is Vijnana Lakhanam. That's the last line, but one of this passage, Vijnana Lakhanam, which means cognizing marked, or just having cognizing as its mark, as its distinguishing feature, distinguishing characteristic. So, Vijnana Lakhanam Maharaja Vijnananti. So, Vijnana Lakhanam. The example I gave at the very end appeared in the next line. Vijnana Lakhanam Vijnanam. So, Vijnanam is the subject of that sentence now, of Nagasena's answer. So, Vijnanam, consciousness, is Vijnana Lakhanam. It has the Lakhana of Vijnana. It has Vijnana, cognizing, as its Lakhana. So it has cognizing as its characteristic mark. And Vijnana Lakhanam, Kim Lakhanam, these are compound adjectives. Cognizing marked, what marked, meaning having cognizing as its mark or feature, having what as its mark or feature. So the king asks, Upamam karohi. Karohi is the imperative from the root kri, to make. So upamam means a simile. In fact, it's upama means an example, and you can make that into more of an abstract noun, an exemplification, rather than an example, an exemplification, like an abstract noun, by strengthening the first vowel and doubling the second. In fact, in Sanskrit, it would go from upama, same in Sanskrit and Pali, to aupamya, strengthen the first syllable and change the final a to a ya. The aupamya, exemplification. So aupamya becomes upama in Pali. So upamam karohi, or upamam karohiti if we're saying the T. Yatha Maharaja. The yatha, as, just as, we expect to see something like tata or evam evako, and sure enough, 1, 2, 3 lines down, there's evam evako. So there's the similar, just as, and he gives the homely example, and then goes on to evam evako. That's the other half of the simile in exactly that way. So Yatha Maharaja, just as, great king. Nagara Guttiko. He, from the root gup, to protect, and there was the Gupta dynasty in India, Gupta meaning protector. So Gup, protector, and then the Guptika in Sanskrit, the Guptika, the guardian, which of course becomes Guttika. So the Nagara Guttiko then is the town guard, the town watchman. So just as the town watchman or town superintendent, Majhe Nagare. In English we'd say in the middle of the city, but in Sanskrit and Pali you say what looks like in the middle city, as if there are several cities, one in the middle. No, it's not that, just in the middle city, Majhe Nagare, is their way of saying in the middle of the city. I think in Latin they do the same. In media urbe, not in medio urbis, but in media urbe, which looks like in the middle of the city, but it just means it looks like in the middle city, but meaning in the middle of the city. So Majhe Nagare, in the middle of the city. Singhartake. Singhartaka is a central square or crossroads. Singhartake Nisinno. Nisinno, sitting, from the root sad, sidati, and Nisinno is sat down or seated. Nisinno. See, there's the a to e flip in that verb. Majhenagare Sanghartake Nisinno, in the middle of the city, seated at the crossroads, Passeya. Now this is the optative here. Passati he sees, Passeya he may see. It's because we're describing here not a specific act. I'm saying, have I forgotten to share my screen again? Whew, I hadn't done too much. Sorry about that. I'll try and rescue it. The Kim Lakshana, Kim Lakshana, Upama, Guptika. There we are. I hadn't done too much. So Passeya is he might see. Let's try and move me out of the way. Because he's not describing a specific act of a person seeing something. He's saying, just as a watchman in that position might see, it's a generalized statement, and therefore he's used the optative, the passeya, rather than passati. He might see, where are we? Purattima disato, from the eastern direction. And you will have seen my explanation of the directions. The purastat in front in Sanskrit, and the adjective is purastima, located in front, purattima in Pali. And it's probably from the old-fashioned idea that when you're calculating the directions, there was this old idea of the Surya Namaskar, the sun salutation, that you gave a salutation to the sun. So the east was the honourable direction, like the first direction from which the sun rose, and therefore was counted first. And I believe among the Chinese as well, the east is counted as the honourable side of the room, the honourable side of a place. So if you're facing east, if you're facing the sun, of course you're facing east, therefore there's the front direction. The assumption is you're facing towards the rising sun. So from the front direction means from the Purattima disato, disa direction, disato, another form of the ablative, from the eastern direction. Purisam agachantam, so passeya purisam agachantam, he might see a man coming. Now this agachantam, we know agam, to come, agachati, he comes, and the long form of the present participle is agachati, becomes agachanto, agachanta in its stem form, agachantam in its accusative singular form. So purisam agachantam passati, he sees the man coming. Normally, as we know, you'd expect to see the verb at the end. You say purisam purattima disato agachantam passati. But here, because it's a series of statements with using the same verb, and the verb is relegated to the less important place, the most important being the end of the sentence, of course, or the end of the word group. So passeya, he may see. He may see what? Okay. Purattima disato purisam agachantam. Passeya, the verb becomes less important because it's the same one each time. Passeya dakina disato purisam agachantam. He may see the passeya purisam, a man, agachantam, coming. Note that it is this participle is an adjective. He sees the man coming. Dakina disato. Dakina disato is the south, because the primary direction that you're facing is the east. The dakshina, in dakshina Pali, dakshina Sanskrit is the right, is cognate with the Latin dexter, the right hand, dakshina, dexter, and dexterous. So because if you're facing east, of course, the south is to your right. Incidentally, the Deccan in India, the plains of the Deccan in the south, that's the anglicized form of this Sanskrit Dakshina and then Deccan. It just means right hand or south. So Dakshina Disato Purisam Agachantam Pasaya Pachima Disato Purisam Agachantam. Now Pachima means rearwards, behind. So of course if east is, you're facing east, it's in front of you. So the Pachima is the west, which is behind you. So Pachima Disato Pasaya Pachima Disato Purisam Agachantam. Pasaya Uttara-disato Purisam Agachantam. He might see from the north direction a man coming, Purisam Agachantam. So the facing east, west is behind you, the south is to your right. They use a different word, Uttara, I mean outer or higher. I don't really know why. I've seen an explanation because they know that's where the land rises and that's where the Himalayas are. It's possible that that's right. And as I mentioned in my note, in modern India, you have Uttar Pradesh, meaning the northern province. So Uttara Disato Purisam Agachantam. Evam ko. We started with Yatha just as, now Evam ko. In exactly that way, Maharaja, great king. Yancha Puriso Chakuna Rupam Passati Tam Vinyanena Vijanati. Here we have the correlatives, the yan and tam. What he sees, that he cognizes. What with the eye he sees, that he cognizes with his vijnana, with his consciousness. So yancha. There's a series of cha here because whatever he sees with the eye, so cha, just to join them. It could equally well have been left out without affecting the meaning at all. So yancha puriso, whatever a man, no, just what yancha rupam, and what form, or the form that yancha rupam chakuna, with the eye, from the chakshu is the eye. Chakshu in Sanskrit, chakku in Pali. The yancha puriso chakuna rupam passati. So whatever form a man sees with the eye, tam vinyanena vijanati. Tam, that, vijanati, he cognizes, vinyanena, with his consciousness. Now note this verb vijanati, the jna verb jna, it's slightly irregular. It makes its present base in janati in Sanskrit and the same in Pali, janati. And with the vi in front of it, that has the meaning of discernment, or distinguishing one thing from another, that is cognizing it. So it's not just a mass of jumbled sense data, it's a vijanati. Oh yeah, I know what that is. Distinguishing it from other things, so cognizing what it is. So that is with the prefix vi. So vijanati, cognizes it. Yancha sutena saddam sunati. Tam vinyanena vijanati. So saddha is a sound, saddha. In Sanskrit, shabda. So yancha, and the sutena is the ear, the sutta is the ear. And we know that, for example, savaka is a listener, a hearer. Sanskrit, shravaka. It's from the root shru, meaning to hear. Now, we know the tra ending. meaning an implement or a tool of doing something. And so your shrotra is your hearing tool, your hearing implement, meaning the ear. And in Pali, that becomes your sota, which just means your hearer, the thing that hears. And sunati is from the root shru, shrunoti or shrunati in Sanskrit, sunati in Pali. So it's one of these ones that inserts an n, na, or no. So, yancha sutena saddam sunati. So, yancha saddam, which sound, or whichever sound, sutena sunati. Sutena, instrumental, with the ear, sunati, he hears. So, yancha saddam sutena saddam sunati, tam vinyarnena vijanati, that he cognizes with his vijnana, with his consciousness. Yancha ghanena gandham gayati, tam vinyarnena vijanati. So yancha gandham, whatever smell or fragrance, ghanena gayati. In fact, in Sanskrit, it is gra. In Pali, then it loses the ra, and so he smells is gayati. And the Sanskrit grana nose just becomes ghana. Your smeller, your smelling apparatus. So yancha ghanena gandham gayati, whatever scent, whatever smell, he gayati smells ghanena with his nose. Tan vinyarnena vijanati, that with consciousness he cognizes. Yancha jivhaya rasam sayati. So the sa is to taste, and the jivha is the tongue. Jivha in Sanskrit, it's the other way around, is jihva, and by the metathesis, the swapping of positions, which the v quite often does, and the y often too, it becomes slightly awkward. Jibha. So that's the tongue. So just as we had sotena, ganena, with the ear, with the nose. Chakuna, that's the u declension, so rather than n, it's chakuna, with the eye. This is the jivha is feminine, and the feminine instrumental singular is jivhaya. That's why we get jivhaya. Jivhaya rasam sayati. Sayati, he tastes. Rasam, a taste. Jivhaya, with the tongue. Tam vinyarnena vijanati, that with the consciousness he cognizes. Yancha kayena puttabam pusati. Kaya means the body. Kayena, with the body. Puttabam means a touchable. It's the root is sprish. And to make the future passive participle, or the gerundive, to be touched or touchable, tangible, it becomes in Sanskrit sprishtavya, which in Pali, the sprishta becomes just putta, but it's from that same root, So putabba. So putabba, sprashtavya, means touchable, capable of being touched, and therefore a tangible thing, just a sensation of touch. The yanchakayana puttabbam pusati, whatever tangible thing, pusati, he touches, kayena, with the body, tam vinyanena vijanati. Vijanati, tam vijanati, he cognizes that, vinyanena, with consciousness. Yancha manasa dhammam vijanati, tam vinyanena vijanati. Note vijanati used for both things here. So dhammam here means a mental object. So whatever dhamma, whatever mental object, manasa, with the mind, vijanati, he cognizes, tam vinyanena vijanati, that he cognizes with consciousness. Manas, normally we see it as mano in Pali. Manas is a stem ending in a consonant, and so it makes its instrumental just by adding a. Manasa. And we had earlier, we had attana. Do you remember? Attana. In Sanskrit, we have the stem atman. It's a masculine word. In the nominative, the N drops and the A becomes long. This is atma. In Pali, atta. Pali, atma. But it's a consonantal stem and an N, so the N comes back for the other parts of the declension. So the instrumental is atmana, like manas, manasa, atman, atmana. And atmana, by the usual process, becomes attana in Pali. So by that same process, manasa, with the mind. The yancha manasa dhammam vijanati, whatever dhammam, whatever mental object, vijanati, he cognizes manasa, with the mind, tam vinyanena vijanati, that with consciousness he cognizes. Evam ko Maharaja, in that way, great king, vijanana lakhanam vinyananti. In that way, great king, vinyanam, consciousness, is vijanana lakhanam. Vijanana, signed, having the characteristic of vijanana. So it is cognizing marked. In other words, it has the mark, its mark is, or its distinguishing factor is cognizing. It winds up, Kalosi Bante Nagasena. So as I mentioned, in Sanskrit, Kalya means generally properly functioning, healthy, and then really good, clever, dexterous. It could well be, and I think it probably is, cognate with the Greek kalos, which in its combining form it becomes kali. So we get that in calligraphy, calisthenics, anything kali meaning good or nice. So kalya then in Pali becomes kalla, nominative singular, therefore kallo. So kallo, asi, you are. Kallo asi, and by santi the a drops off. So it becomes kallo si, you are clever. Bante Nagasena. Good. I shall now just read this passage to you once. I'll unshare the screen. There we are. Bhante Nagasena, Kim Lakhanam Vinyananti. Vijnana Lakhanam Maharaja Vinyananti. Upamang Karohiti. Yatha Maharaja Nagaraguttiko Majhe Nagare Singhatake Nisinno Pasaya Purathimadsato Purisam Agachantam Pasaya Dakhina Disato Purisam Agachantam Pasaya Pachima Disato Purisam Agachantam Pasaya Uttara Disato Purisam Agachantam Evameva ko Maharaja Yancha Puriso Chakuna Rupam Passati Tam Vinyanena Vijanati Yancha Sutena Saddam Sunati Tam Vinyanena Vijanati Yancha Ghanena Gandhanghayati Tam Vinyanena Vijanati Yancha Jibhaya Rasansayati Tam Vinyanena Vijanati Yancha Kayena Puttabam Pusati Tam Vinyanena Vijanati Yancha Manasa Dhammam Vijanati Tam Vinyanena Vijanati Evanko Maharaja Vijanana Lakhanan Vinyananti Kalosi Bhante Nagaserati. Good, and that is the end of lesson 3.